to Moses. I think that the reason all these other requirements were made was because they weren't sticking to that. He had to get some commandments.
Right.
And then he just had to keep adding to them because they just kept not listening.
If we were going to be living biblically, okay, wouldn't we take like the 10 Commandments first? Well, what is that first commandment for episode 1? What would be the first commandment? What is that?
Yeah, right.
What is that first commandment that would be in episode 1? Oh, the little God. Oh man.
Yeah.
No, we can't do that.
No other gods before me.
Let's talk about linens instead.
But the whole thing is that Christ came to fulfill all of it. So here we are. You know, here we are.
Wait till they go to the the dietetic laws, and then try to deal with Acts 10. Where Peter was told, don't call anything that's created unclean.
Apparently, the New Testament is way down the line.
That's if they make it that far.
There's so much groovy good stuff they can dig out of the Old Testament.
Commandments and law.
Exactly. Those
and
are
they're
laws.
not getting distinctions between the different kinds of laws. There's Levitical laws, there's moral laws.
He had to put all those in place.
But,
well, remember, that was a setup not just for religion, but for government, for practical living. That was the whole system.
And that's why I kept saying shellfish, is because the thing about not eating shellfish and not being a homosexual in Leviticus is in the same portion of Scripture, but they're not dividing between Levitical law and moral law, and they're grouping them together and saying, well, if you can't be a homosexual, you can't eat shellfish. Well, first off, I'm a Gentile. I'm not a Jew.
Right.
I can eat shellfish, but that doesn't exclude me from moral law. I can't murder people. I can't be a homosexual.
Well, again, if we were going to live biblically, and if we were going to live from the Old Testament, I would start with the 10 Commandments, but of course that would not be a good start because it would be about loving God.
Yeah.
And even when you get down to the more practical ones, like honor your father and mother, let alone do not kill, do not commit adultery, do not steal,
but now let's talk about missing linen. Let's talk about missing linen.
And of course, as we all realize, I hope that, except for keeping the Sabbath day holy, all of the 10 Commandments were carried over into the New Law.
We're fulfilling. What is it? Yep.
In the New Testament, right?
What's the main commandment now? It's love. Yeah. Love the Lord your God and love your neighbor.
And I just got this one final thing.
Love the Lord your God.
I talked about last week, HR Bill 4760, 400-page legislation that has a biometric feature to it, about a national ID, a biometric national ID that could be used, first of all, for identification, and secondly, would be used perhaps for purchasing. It's HR 4760. I've been following this on Congress.gov, and it's Securing America's Future Act in 2018. And currently, the latest action is it's been referred to a subcommittee on immigration and border security. How prominent of a topic is this? In this 400-page bill, the diversity visa program is eliminated, and DNA testing to establish family relationship is authorized. So if you want to come in this country claiming that you're a relative of somebody that's living there already, you have to have DNA testing.
Imagine that.
Also part of this law, which, No federal or state or local government entity or individual may prohibit or restrict a federal, state, or local government entity or official from complying with the immigration laws or assisting related federal laws enforcement activities. What that's about is all these
So-called sanctuary
cities, yes. But that's all in this law. It's very timely right now, but stuck away in there is a national identity. I have no proof that it's actually in there. I mean, I have no access to the
actual copy of the law as proposed, and of course
There's
it's
only
going to
bill
be amended
summaries.
terribly in committee and so forth
Well, you
before it
know,
ever sees the light of day.
This isn't a new thing, and this whole thing here is a whole reason why they constructed the Obamacare, is to get this national ID through. Now as they're disassembling Obamacare, this comes up in the next fight, which is immigration. It's not about passing or refusing immigration. It wasn't about passing or refusing health care. It's about this. It's about getting a national ID.
Well, and the truth of it is, it's like everything that we see that's biblically predicted. It sounds reasonable, but it's not. That's the problem. The mark of the Antichrist sounds like a very reasonable thing, but of course it's not. And we're now, Homeland Security. All the laws that came out of 911 sound reasonable. Unfortunately, it's all about. Way back in the 70s, I said two things have to happen. You have to be immobilized and you have to be identified. You have to be immobilized and you have to be identified. Because that way, if things get bad, we can always throw, number one, a barbed wire fence around cities, which is what people have done in the past, and then sort it all out. We can throw a ring of tanks around something and sort it out. Who we're looking for. So America is way too mobile, and has not been easily identified. I have, we don't, I mean, it's hard to get the perspective, but just like a generation ago, I knew people that had killed a couple of people. And they just changed their social security number, changed their ID, moved away from the area, and got by with 2 murders.
Wow.
I mean, this is what I'm told. This is what I'm told. Not personally, it was through a son. But it was common to be able to just move away, change your identity, just a generation ago. A generation from us.
That's what my first husband did. He changed his social security number and his name.
And completely changed it. So the problem in America was that we move around too much and it's too easy to hide our identity. In order for the Antichrist to come to power, those two things have to change wherever people are at. We're all too mobile and we're all too unidentifiable. That's all changing. And I've said that back in the 70s.
They can find you now. I mean,
Now
they know exactly where you're at all the time.
Now they can
Yeah.
check you
with your phone.
With your vehicle.
Just with your phone.
With your toaster.
Well, they have smart cars now. They call it GPS.
Oh, those will have GPS built in, so they can follow you.
On your computer or your car.
Well, they're getting so the remote cars also have to do is flip a switch and the car will drive you right to the police station.
Right.
Won't have to send anybody after.
That's right.
There you go.
In some place they set up something similar to that, where they, because for an Amber Alert or something, they could immobilize that vehicle.
one thing is to come.
Yes, hang on.
Just look at the.
Either way, we win.
Either way, we win.
Just look at the school shooting. God is shaking things. Evil is multiplying because we have departed from the Word of God.
Yeah.
And as I said last night, and I've said also many times, is that if people ask you what the world is coming to, tell them judgment, because that's what the book of Revelation is about. The world is coming under judgment because of sin and rebellion against God.
Yeah.
And so we're living in the days when people are rebelling against God and His Word, and judgment is coming.
How long, oh Lord, how long?
In order for God to reign and rule on this earth, in order for Christ to reign and rule in the millennial kingdom, judgment must come.
Yeah.
Pray, thy kingdom come, thy will be done. God is going to have His kingdom here on earth, but He's not going to come down in this mess. God is a holy God. We saw.
Make it all nice.
This is the reason why. Yeah. Well, that'll never happen. This is the reason why. This is the reason why in the story of Sodom and Gomorrah, that the Lord on the earth prayed to the Lord in the sky to bring down judgment, because that Lord that was on the earth did not go into Sodom and Gomorrah like the other two angels did, because God is a holy God, and He would not enter into Sodom and Gomorrah without judgment first falling. The same is true today, the times we live in. God is not going to come back on this earth until God judges this earth, and the wicked are done away with, and God's righteousness will be reigning here on earth. But God's not going to come down here until that changes, and we're not going to change it. No, the thing that's going to change it is God's judgment.
Yeah.
That's why we're meeting them in the air.
When the day
That's the reason
and the
why
hour
we're meeting them in
comes,
here.
that's it. When
Yeah.
the day and the hour comes, that's it.
We will meet them in the air.
Oh, yeah,
because
there's
then
soothsayers.
the judgment will fall.
Yeah, there's another end of the world date set.
Oh,
June
boy.
24th.
Well, they're wrong.
2018.
Yeah. Yeah.
We'll be here.
We'll see you later, Betty.
Hope you have
Yeah, have a good day. Have a good
Well, I've
day,
already been on the
everybody.
internet saying there's not, no one knows the day or the hour, but they keep on doing it.
Another guy in 1843.
Yeah, Miller.
Okay.
Standing on the dog.
Wonderful.
That concludes this edition of The Last 7 Days. Opinions expressed on this program are not necessarily those of Spreaker or GJRB. Join us next time, here on Spreaker, for another podcast of The Last 7 Days on GJRB. This has been a GJRB podcast presentation. We all run a busy schedule, and maybe we don't have time to catch the Gary Russa program. Well, here's the solution. The best of the Gary Russa program, highlighting the most memorable parts of recent shows. Each podcast I will play clips of previous shows and talk about them. Watch for podcast uploads during the GJRB's podcast weekend on GJRB's public site on Spreaker, reflecting on the past memories of past shows. The best of the Gary Russell program on GJRB. Imagine one day tuning around on your internet radio only to find a station playing old radio programs complete with commercials and thinking, what am I tuning into? The past? You might be, or it's just GJRB Online and Radioland. A day of nothing but classic radio shows back to back with classic commercials in between, like the days of radio. Almost like your computer is picking up signals through time. Closer than you'll ever get to time travel. Radioland.
This is GJR Broadcasting.
This is GJRB.
Now, GJRB brings you Way Out There. This is the show that talks about the weird, the bizarre, the unusual. From UFOs to paranormal to near-death experiences to government conspiracies. This is the place to listen to for the truth. Now, here's Gary Russell.
And hello everyone, hello everywhere across America and around the world, and welcome to Way Out There, the show that talks about the strange, the bizarre, the unusual, the things that somehow we just can't explain. It's just what we do here on GJRB Online. Usually the show heard the third week of the month, usually the third Friday of the month at 3 o'clock Central Time, followed by right after the last 7 days. The last 7 days uploaded every week just about, and then right after that, usually about the third week, we run one episode live. I record it live and that Wednesday live, and then I'll put it on the air live. And usually 1 week we do that. But I've got this set up now where it's in the schedule, but things are going to get shuffled around a little bit. As I explained earlier, we're doing something different. I'm making a little puzzle of program schedules, changing the programs around in the schedule, and like many cable channels do, they don't always keep the show in the same time slot. So we're doing what I call spontaneous scheduling. Now, we're going to do this permanently now. I decided the other night that I think I'm not going to do any schedule. If I can I'll do schedules if I can in advance, if it's possible to do one where I have maybe a couple of shows I can schedule in a time slot. This show will stay, a lot of the shows will stay in their time slots on the weekends, but it'll get shifted around once in a while within the month as part of our spontaneous schedule. Like, let's say, for example, this show got canceled for any reason. Either something important came up, or a bad storm came around and we had a power failure and I couldn't broadcast, or anything like that. Well, then what would happen is that this would be scheduled anytime spontaneously. That means I will set a day, and then within about 2 days before broadcast, I'll post a promo for it and post a schedule. But otherwise, some of the programs will stay on a schedule, some won't. And I'm trying to do that so that I can maybe have a show where I like to have some shows on once a week, and then some shows stay on a month. Now, with this program, I like to have it on in its regular time slot, the third Friday of the month. But shuffle it around. I like to have the show on more often, where sometimes I like to have it on every week for 2 consecutive weeks, for example. And then the third week would be a regularly scheduled one, and this would be where it would be on another day of the week other than Friday, and or, like I said, an evening version of it, which I'm working on. A nighttime. Now, I did a nighttime Way Out There before, and it was absolutely fabulous because it's a great lead-in for Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott, because I talk about the same stuff. And I think it'll be pretty cool if I could do that. And I'm working on an idea for an evening programming, which would start at 8 p.m. Central Time. And that is coming up. I'll let you know how that works out. I'm not sure yet if that's going to pan out until I, schedule the promos and spots for it and have that time slot established. So it had to be sometime soon, but like I said before, it's a puzzle piece. And like I said before, I just deleted the GJRB Schedule Update podcast the other day. As I told you before, things have changed. The information has changed, so I deleted it. There won't be no video. I'm working on a brand new video showing the cycle rotation of programs and how I'm trying to fit programs into a schedule. And I'll be making that video as a live YouTube feed, and that will simultaneously go on the air with we'll just like simultaneously do that with Spreaker. If it doesn't work, then I'm going to probably have only a video, and then I'll make the audio into it and put it up on Spreaker, which I think would be a better idea anyway. Anyway, glad you could be with us. It's a beautiful sunny day in Clinton, Iowa, finally. I don't know. I think we're supposed to get some more snow. We're supposed to get a little bit of freezing rain. I'll be taking a look at that forecast coming up. We have weather on the 5s at 25 and 55 minutes past the hour. We have some storms to the west of us right now, especially in, even Arizona. And I just saw a video here my wife was showing me, and yes, even Los Angeles, California, it's snowing. So, no matter where you go in this country, where you don't get a break as far as this cold, stinking weather, because it's bad when it starts hitting L.A. I bet you the liberals are really, there's snowflakes in Los Angeles anyway, you know what I mean? But, oh well, we're going to see what happens. Welcome aboard anyway. Got a great show lined up for you this afternoon. We got some neat stuff. I was watching some interesting videos these past couple of nights, my wife and I. We were watching videos of Amtrak. We've been watching what people were doing. We're making YouTube videos with the camera sticking out the window, and you're actually traveling along with them and seeing different sites and seeing how the inside of somebody, because a lot of people never saw the inside of these Amtrak trains. I've been in one long time ago, back in 1988, when my first wife and I went to Pittsburgh for my mother's funeral. And that was an all-night trip, so I didn't really get to see anything, except maybe Fort Wayne, Indiana. But that was it. And ever since then, I think I always wanted maybe to ride one in the daytime, just to see the sights, because there's so much to see in the United States of America that to actually see these videos of people riding the Amtrak rails kind of gives you that feeling of going on vacation, which I haven't been on one in quite a long time. And it's a video vacation, if you want to call it that. It's a video vacation. So I think it was fun. So I'll refer you to some of these videos on a future Gary Russell program. We'll be talking more about those because they're kind of neat to look at because you get to see see America. It really is cool. And let's see what else. We're going to talk about some interesting things this afternoon. Part 3 in our series on technocracy and technocracy rising. This has been talked about way back in the 1930s. People were talking about how they want to use technology to control the masses and to control people. And there's a piece on this, and I'm going to be talking about it on a future show. So you're going to want to check that out. Technocracy Rising. Patrick Wood wrote a book called Technocracy Rising, and it talked about how the United States government has talked about using technology to run a government, run people, and control what they do, control how much, this and that. So we're going to talk more about that. Also coming up later on in the show, I'm going to talk about life after death. What happens after you die? And how many people who don't believe in Jesus, don't believe in the fact that so many people out there believe that when you die, you go to nothing. And we're going to talk about how some people have described heaven and describe talking to God, and it's absolutely fabulous. So we'll be talking about that coming up here on Way Out There, so stay tuned. This is GJRB Online. I'm Gary J. Russin, and I hope you'll stay with me throughout the afternoon. I'm going to be starting a series, actually, on this about hell, too, because I believe that both should be equally talked about, because, people don't realize the evil that they're doing. And maybe we just need to be scared straight, so to speak. So we're going to talk about that. All coming up this afternoon on Way Out There, plus other stuff like Strange But True, and all kinds of stuff. So stay with me for Way Out There here on GJRB Online, here on Spreaker, across America, and thank you for tuning in to our program. Let's, first of all, take a look at the news. Breaking, the Patriots owner Robert Kraft has been arrested in Jupiter in a sex sting operation. This is Jupiter, Florida, along with many others, and this story is just now developing from CBS 4 Miami, and we'll keep an eye on this story because it sounds interesting. Story developing out of Jupiter, and about a possibility that there's an arrest made on this, so stay tuned for that. Also coming up, we'll talk about that story, and let's see, what else do we have coming up? Let's pop into the regular page. I want to go back to my main page, the first page, my main Facebook page for a minute, because I want you to go into the saved part and find more news stories. It's kind of a dead news day today. It usually is on Friday. Not much news going on. That's why I kind of cut the news out on Fridays, because there's no point in trying too hard to put a newscast together. I just find stories as I go along, and that's what I'm doing right now. Some interesting stories. What did you think about this Jussie Smollett? Is that his name? He is the one that, I guess, from the TV series Empire, who decided he was going to set himself up to be attacked. Well, he was arrested and accused of a fake attack. That's right, he was arrested for staging a fake attack. This Empire actor, Jussie Smollett, is under arrest and now in custody yesterday morning for allegedly filing a false police report, claiming that he is a victim of a hate crime attack in Chicago, according to a police spokesman. The police statement stated that Smollett was under arrest and in custody by detectives at 9 a.m. yesterday by the Chicago Police Headquarters. Superintendent Eddie Johnson, commander of the area Central Detectives, Edward Winnicki, will brief reporters later on this. And according to the Cook County State's Office, Smollett was charged Wednesday with felony disorderly conduct and allegedly false report he made with the Chicago police on January 29th. Smollett's attorney Todd Poole and Victor Henderson said that in the statement via Chicago Tribune, quote, like any other citizen, Mr. Smollett enjoys a presumption of innocence, particularly when there was an investigation like this one, and where information, both true or false, were reportedly leaked. Given these circumstances, he intended to conduct a thorough investigation into the Mount Aggressive activity. Now, what he did was he set himself to be attacked. He was set himself to be sprayed with, now what the story was is these two men wearing ski masks arrived in the city from New York, made a late night run at a subway when someone yelled, "Aren't you that blankety blank from Empire?" and then claimed the two attacks were proceeding to jump him, put a rope around his neck, pour bleach on him. That's what they did. Poured bleach on him. The following number consistent of this story is now believed to have been a 36-year-old actor paid to make this attack. Paid. Now, This is just immature stupidity. Okay, really immature stupidity. This is the kind of youth we have today. Moronic, just a bunch of crybabies trying to start something. This is exactly what they are. They want to create something now, and cause all kinds of problems. Now, it was interesting because I was talking to Ed Delgado, the host of Caramel Conservative, the other night when he did his show. He was talking about this very thing, that we are under what is known as a cold civil war. That's what's going on in this country. It's a cold civil war, and a lot of people this is ridiculous, right? This is what they're doing. Cold civil war. And why? Because they want attention. These are the youth of our country. This is what they do. They want attention. And the only way they're going to get that attention is to pull all kinds of stuff like this. The stupid stuff. When are they going to grow up? Yeah, you have to ask yourself that question. The children, overgrown children, they haven't grown up yet. And they don't have a life. And this is why we call them snowflakes. Because exactly what they are. Whiny crybabies who don't get their way. So they get attention to try to get their way. Kind of like a 3-year-old. Or a 4-year-old or a 5-year-old, little kids, they just to get what they want. And if they don't get what they want, they'll whine, cry, and stomp their feet. So this is what we have. We have overgrown toddlers walking around the United States, and until they get what they want, they'll have a temper tantrum. And this is what we got here. Jussie Smollett's. Another one that creates attention for himself. Because he thinks he is so great. And he thinks that, the world revolves around him. This is what we got in this country, folks. This is what we got to put up with. And this is a sad pity. But what are you going to do? Until they grow up, this is what they're going to do. And sometimes they just don't. They just act like more immature morons. That's all I got to say about it. This is crazy. This is what we got here in America. Coming up, we'll take a look at some birthdays and anniversaries and stuff like that. Birthdays mostly, obits. We got a couple in the obits column, including Ross Patterson. I just saw this before I went on the air. He is Clark James Gable, grandson of Clark Gable, of a show called Cheaters. He died today. It's coming up. And Peter Tork, who shares a birthday with me, by the way. He just died. I couldn't believe it. 77. We're going to play some Monkees songs in our bumpers today here on Way Out There. Same age as me. He just had a birthday. And he died at the age of 77. He had cancer. And we'll talk about Peter and the rest of that coming up next. And you're listening to Way Out There on GJRB Online. I'm Gary J. Rustin. Thanks a lot for tuning in. Got more coming up next. You hear great jazz on GJRB with the best of jazz, up-and-coming jazz, smooth jazz, and smooth afternoon. If you can't get enough of jazz and you live in the Quad Cities area, tune in to KALA, St. Ambrose University in Davenport, Iowa, at 88.5 on the FM dial. Along with some of that great smooth jazz, you'll hear a lot of great jazz programming. And programming in other great music formats. Like blues, urban, including rap, Also, classic R&B and Motown with David Baker on Rewind, Friday nights at 6 p.m. Central. In addition, you get programming in Spanish and some great gospel programming too. For more information on that great programming you'll hear, check out their schedule at www.sau.edu/KALA. Even if you don't live in the Quad Cities area, you can enjoy KALA anywhere in the world with their internet stream. Connect with KALA. Listen and enjoy. Great memories and trivia are coming up on the return of radio, television, and movie classics. I have more original sponsor openings from classic TV shows, Bonanza, Rawhide, and The Danny Thomas Show. Retro Primetime takes you back to primetime TV on Saturday night in the summer of 1968. I have a whole new crop of trivia questions for you to answer. And I have more commercials from defunct products. Oh, and I almost forgot. TV star profile Roddy Shell. You remember him as Duke Slater on Gover Powell USMC. Join me, Gary Russin, for nostalgic fun on radio, television, and movie classics. Coming back Friday, March 8th at 3 o'clock p.m. Central on GJRB. End times are upon us, and we need to know what's happening. Knowing the truth is key to survival. There are lots of news events going on in the world that have certain significance to end time happenings. Listen, as men and women gather to discuss the news and how it lines up with Bible prophecy on the last 7 days. Uploaded as a podcast Wednesdays and run live every third Friday at 12 o'clock noon Central on GJRB. And welcome back to Way Out There on GJRB Online here on Spreaker across America. Glad you could be with me today for some afternoon weird talk and interesting things going on. We got Strange but True coming around the corner. I always love doing that one. Got some weird stories coming up, so stay with me for that. And also, along the line, we'll be getting into the second hour. We're going to talk about part three of Technocracy Rising. And talking about some interesting things there. So stay tuned to Way Out There here on GJRB Online. First off, though, I'm going to check my Facebook and see if we do have any pending birthdays. So I want to go into my main page here and see what we have here. I don't know. I know we had a birthday yesterday on here. We had, I know, one of them was my good friend Dave Hudasak, who had a birthday recently, and a few other ones, but nobody's on Spreaker today. But let's see, why don't we, I don't know, I didn't get any celebrity birthday postings on my Facebook like I usually do. So I'm going to assume there's no big stars having birthdays today. I'm going to check that real quick, see if there's any celebrities having birthdays today. I'll do that here real quick. Okay, let's see. So belated birthdays to Brian to Neil Harrison, and a few really good friends from earlier this week. Famous birthdays today. Let's see what we've got. I'm going to pop this in, and I'll probably get that bogus site, which only has stars that. Okay, let me see what we got here. Let's take a look at some of the birthdays. Most recent, going all the way into the 20th century, mostly. Okay, wow. I'm going to go back here. Let's see here. Okay, let's see. Usually I kind of go into the 1920s, 1930s. Let's see. Oh, good. I'm about to jump out. Okay, let me see. 1918, let's see what we got here. They go according to years, so I do it that way. Not too many big stars. I'm going to go kind of into the 1930s. Let's see. Bobby Smith, who's that? English football player. Let's see, we can go to 1939, 1940, 1945, and somewhere in the 1950s, because usually we find some big stars that we know having birthdays. Don't see any really big ones that I could find. Through the 60s, 70s. Vijay Singh, golfer for the PGA, he's having a birthday today. So big birthday greetings to him. Jim Wycek, he is an actor. Ben Ryan, he was from Ryan's Hope, played Ben on the daytime soap opera Ryan's Hope, which isn't on anymore. Let's see, Chris Dudley, American NBA center for the Knicks, played also for the Portland Trail Blazers. Yeah, he had a birthday today. And let's see, we can go down the line a little bit, so we can find any more. And let's see, I think that pretty much does it. Don't see anything big today. People born in the 70s, don't see much. There are some big stars, but not well-known ones. TV or movies. Let's see here. I'm going to go down a ways here so we can find the biggest birthdays there is. Pretty much going all the way down, there isn't anybody I know, so we're just going to kind of say that's about the only birthdays we have in celebs today. All right, let's see. We got weather on the 5s coming up. Let's take a look at that. And then we'll do obits because, like I said, 2 really sad deaths to report. And right now, though, I'm going to go to the page here and get weather on the 5s. But off the top of my head, I can tell you right now, some bad weather out west. People from all the way down from Arizona, clear on up through into the Dakotas, Minnesota, Billings, Montana, all going to be getting into under a really mess of bad weather. Storms, winter storms, whatever you call them, we've got them coming up. The forecast, we'll take a look at some of the temperatures across America. Got a few really good ones here, so we're going to kind of pop through those. Let's see if we can find that real quick before we take our half-hour break. Let's see. I know I had them here, and I wrote them down. Some temperatures here. Okay, here we go. Seattle. Take a look at some of the temperatures anyway. Some of the high temperatures today. Seattle going to be 43 today. San Francisco expected 54. St. Louis is going to go up to 46. Washington, D.C. expecting 52 degrees. And Little Rock, Arkansas expecting a high today of 50. And we'll take a look at your weather across America throughout the afternoon. Another forecast coming up here at 10 till the hour, about 5 to the hour. Again, weather on the 5s, 25 and 55 minutes past the hour, right here on GJRB online here on Spreaker. So, there you go. Coming up, we have some more stuff. So I hope you'll stay with me for all the fun stuff here on Way Out There. The strange, the bizarre, the unusual. The things that go bump in the night, And we got all coming up. We got some strange stories coming up. I have Strange But True. I love doing that one. It's one of my favorite segments. And we got that coming up. I've got some more weird stories for you here. So I hope you'll stay with me on GJRB Online for Way Out There. And always having fun talking about the weird stuff that, otherwise, yeah. All right. Be right back. More coming up.